Will Le'Veon Bell play in Week 2? My name's Brian Andrew. This is Steven Galindo. And actually, that's not the title of the video. The title of the video is, are the changes made by the commissioner in the offseason making our league less competitive? Steven?
That's a yes and a no for me. I obviously don't like PPR.
So I would admit we're a little biased because we don't like PPR. I think it's participation points just for the receiver making a play, whereas I think skill wise a receiver should earn his fantasy points based on what he does with the ball, not where he, or just if he catches it, right?
Yeah. So it looks like let's see here, 6 games. 4 out of the 6 games were blowouts. Wins by more than 50 points.
I was gonna say not just because last season I would consider a blowout to be by maybe more than 15 to 20 points.
Right.
This season, it was, and I have a cold by the way. If I sound like not myself, but if you look at 50 points, that's 4 out of 6 games. The other 2 weren't necessarily that close either, right?
Right. We had 91 to 115. And then 114 to 137. So only one game was really close.
And it was, personally, PPR helped me out a lot this week because Zeke Elliott had a hard time getting going in the first half of that Panthers game, and all of a sudden Dak just threw him the ball a few times, and I got like 2.5 points just by him getting a catch and no gain. So it helped me out, and then eventually got that touchdown that helped. So PPR helped me a lot, but I still don't necessarily like it because you have players that maybe last season when they got 17 points who are now getting like 25.
Right.
So it's, in my opinion, it's not just the PPR, it's the extra flex spot.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the extra wide receiver running back spot either. But you know what? I think week 1 is
Are we getting too ahead of ourselves?
I think we're getting too ahead of ourselves here. I think we need to let it play out. Week 1 was crazy, to say the least. Mm-hmm. Some injuries, some people showing up, and then some people staying home. So let's take a quick look here through the matchups here.
Well, let's start with yours.
Yeah. So I lose to the commish, and this is a whole week the commish is stressing about no Le'Veon Bell, right? I can feel it. Last week we had him on the show here, and you can hear it in his voice. He was nervous, but all of a sudden,
I think if Le'Veon Bell showed up and then he played him, Le'Veon probably would have got less points.
I agree. I think he probably wouldn't have done as well. Let's see who. I mean, Russell Wilson. He had Russell Wilson, who had a Russell Wilson day. His running backs were horrible, but I mean, we knew that already. But the wide receiver core here, Emmanuel Sanders, Tyreek Hill, Nelson Aguilar, and Rob Gronkowski.
Well, Tyreek Hill had a crazy, from right off the jump, he got a return touchdown.
I'm super excited, super hyped that the Chiefs look as good as they do, and Tyreek Hill did as well as he did. But why did it have to happen to me?
And another thing is, what was that, like a 40-point game?
Yep, 39.8.
So, he's not going to get a 39-point game every week, but it just happened to be the first week.
You know what? It never fails. Last year, it was Kareem Hunt who went off in week 1 and helped the commish beat me. This year, it's Tyreek Hill who went off and helped the commish beat me.
And you know what? You played the Chargers defense, right? You have the Chargers defense.
And me, being a dumb guy that I am, I played the Chargers defense.
Well, is it a dumb move? Because you didn't.
It's a dumb move.
Mahomes had question marks before the season, right?
You know what? You never play the defense going up against your team.
That's true. For example,
because I couldn't sit there and I couldn't root for them to keep scoring because that just means my total was going down.
So the Rams play the Vikings in 2 weeks. So I picked up the Jets defense today just in case because I don't want I might have to sit the Vikings against the Rams in 2 weeks from now. But we'll see.
I mean, I need to see, for the commissioner here, I need to see another big weekend of his receivers because his receivers are what's going to keep him afloat. So he needs a big performance from Tyreek Hill every week, Sanders, Gronk's gonna put up his points every week if he's not hurt. I think the only question mark right now is Nelson Aguilar, and then Chris Hogan, 1.6 fantasy points. That's not gonna happen again. So
Yeah.
these receivers are really gonna hold Eddie above water here.
And then on your end,
My end, I had Melvin Gordon put up 24 points. He was great.
yeah, you did great.
George Kittle surprisingly put up 12 points.
You have players on your
George
team.
Kittle killed me.
How many points did you score as a team though?
Not too many.
What was
I scored.
What was your final score?
96.8
96.8 though last season
was enough to win you a game.
was enough to win you a game.
Now
though.
it's bare minimum.
Like now, if you score under 100 points, you're screwed. And so this is getting back to maybe the original point. Now maybe it's like, well, you should draft better, or you should draft accountable for PPR, which I think everyone did at some point in the draft. Maybe they didn't spend the first 2 rounds on PPR selections, but there's a lot of people who took receivers in the first 2 rounds that ended up losing. So it's not like it's that serious in my opinion. I chose 4 running backs in the first 4 rounds, and I happened to win my matchup. So it depends. So I'm trying to figure out, is it more of the PPR or is it more of the extra flex spot? Is it the guy someone drafted in the 8th round or 10th round that's killing everybody?
Well, let's take a look at another matchup here. We got Ivan rolling with Mahomes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mahomes, I'm sorry.
Now he had,
and then Brian, you changed your name again?
Yeah. So the Ivan and me matchup, he had a tough break because Doug Baldwin got hurt and he got 0 points for him, right?
Right.
And he had, the thing that made me nervous, there was a point where I was up by like 40 points and it was the 1 o'clock games, and I was like, all right, as long as everything stays true to what I think will stay true, then I just have Jordan Howard carrying me in the Sunday night game, I should be fine. But Mahomes ends up getting like 30-something out of that. He gives up 30 points or so, 29 points, and he basically comes up with 3/4 of that 40 points, and then with everybody else scoring, it just, he ended up, I think, leading going into the Sunday night game. But luckily I had Jordan Howard.
Yeah, I mean, Mahomes carried him with 28 points. Kareem Hunt had a quiet day. Dalvin Cook put up 10 points.
See, that was annoying too, because I have Kirk Cousins, and for the first half of that Niners game, for whatever reason, Kirk Cousins only threw it to Diggs and Cook. And it wasn't until like the second half I feel like he started throwing it to like Thielen and Rudolph and all that.
Right.
So every time Kirk Cousins got like 1 or 2 points, Diggs and Cook was coming back with 3 or 4, and it was pissing me off. But it eventually worked out.
Yeah, it looks like Brian's running back core put up some good points, 16 and 13. Crabtree put up 11. Lamar Miller put up 11. What carried you was your defense, Minnesota.
Yeah. And I expect Minnesota. The thing is, Minnesota this week plays against Green Bay, so I am a little sketched. But
speaking of Green Bay, my heart literally stopped beating for 2 seconds when I saw Aaron Rodgers go down. I'm hoping he plays this week.
How do you feel? Okay, so if he does,
I have the Aaron Rodgers curse. I picked up Aaron Rodgers 3 years ago, the year before Brian won the championship, and he broke his collarbone. I pick him up last season, breaks his collarbone again. Now I draft him this season, and now he's got a knee issue. So it looks like from now on I'm not taking Aaron Rodgers.
So next year's draft, that's the statement you're making right now?
I'm making the statement right now. I am not taking Aaron Rodgers.
What if what if he plays on a bad leg and still gets a lot of points?
That's good for him, but I can't handle the stress anymore.
Okay. So I would say he's going to start. If you're going to come back in the second half of the Bears game, you're most likely going to start.
I would hope so. Khalil Mack, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Dude, imagine if we could pick linebackers.
My condolences to Mr. O. Khalil Mack put on a show.
If we were able to still draft linebackers and someone had Khalil Mack, you would have had more than 10 points by Khalil Mack.
You know, it was funny because I was thinking while I was watching the game, how much respect I have for Khalil Mack now that he's not on the Raiders.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I said? Khalil Mack is a monster. Hell of a football player, and now I enjoy watching him because it means I don't have to watch the Raiders play.
Yeah, and it helped the Rams on Monday night a lot, so I'm okay with it too.
We next game here, Bad Juju, right? Max's team versus Bend It Like Beckham, Kellen. R.I.P. Kellen.
Well, so I've been on the Max train, choo-choo, since day one because that guy's draft was incredible. The fact that he was able to pick 2 elite receivers in let me check this lineup again.
So he's got Michael Thomas and Mike Evans.
2 elite receivers plus David Johnson.
Which, you know what, unfortunately, I don't think David Johnson, he's going to be good. He's going to put up his numbers, but that offense looked horrible.
But I feel like if he's able to just put up quality numbers and maybe Max could just... Because he has probably the best 3 wide receivers in the league, with Juju Smith being his number 3, his flex receiver is really good. Because
Right.
Juju Smith would have been a number 2 on most of our teams.
Definitely.
Probably just the way I draft and you draft, Juju Smith had a chance of being our number 1.
Yeah.
So the fact that he has him as a flex, then he has Evan Ingram that's not bad, and if Chris Thomas in this new Alex Smith Washington Redskins offense,
The new Alex Smith check down offense.
Thompson could get a lot of points. So
Thompson put up 21 points, which is...
I'm gonna admit, so I play Max this week, so I'm gonna have to come off the Max train a little bit, choo. But I'm a little nervous. I'm a little scared. I'm hoping that we don't have that inflation game that we had with the Bucks and Saints where everyone who played on both rosters got 30 points each. But
Which was BS.
yeah, it was. And so I'm going to hope maybe Michael Thomas has a pedestrian 10 or so. And
Well, in PBR, he's probably going to have like 40, so...
yeah. And then I'm hoping Ben Roethlisberger doesn't play that well, because I hope he has like an off game as well.
Well, he's playing at home, and you know Ben Roethlisberger at home.
He gets way too comfortable. Maybe it's just like he has like his own like sex trafficking ring there that he's just. but when he's out of town, he gets a little nervous that it's not being operated correctly, and he throws some picks.
Let's save that for another podcast. Let's look at Kellen over here. Kellen had Matt Stafford.
That's sad.
Oh man, 4 interceptions. Yeah, that's bad.
Against the Jets defense.
He has Devontae Freeman, who got injured.
Mm-hmm.
Kenyon Drake.
Is Devontae Freeman gonna play week 2 though?
You know what reports right now? I don't know. Let's look. I saw a report. It's possible. He hasn't been ruled out yet.
Okay.
But I don't think he practiced today.
Because Tevin Coleman looked really good in that game, and I wouldn't be surprised if Devontae Freeman has another injury that's going to keep him out for another several weeks, that they'll eventually move away from Freeman and give Coleman the number 1 spot. Because if Freeman's just going to get injured all the time, then he's a liability.
Yeah, right now he's questionable, and he did miss practice today, Wednesday. So, I don't, a knee issue. I think they might just, err on the side of caution and sit him out.
They did have the extended week though. They had a Thursday night game last week, and then they play Sunday this week, I believe.
So, Mr. O, it's an upside for you if Freeman doesn't play.
Yeah. And then
Sammy Watkins, not so well. I think Kellen's upside here though is he does have Odell Beckham, who looked really good.
yeah.
He's gonna put up numbers every week, I think. That offense doesn't look too bad. Is it just me or Eli Manning looks a little off? Huh?
Yeah, I think he's always looked a little off in the face. But
he's got a little bit of that up syndrome.
I feel like that Giants offense is so awkward that it's gonna work in a way. But they're still gonna go like 5-11.
Yeah.
I think Odell's gonna get his points. Barkley obviously is gonna get his points. Eli Manning, if you had to start Eli Manning will probably at least get you in the double digits, barely, at least every week. That's about it though. I wouldn't count on Sterling Shepard. Ingram, yeah, he's on Max's team, so he's gonna do great because he's playing me this week. But I believe the Cowboys play the Giants this week, and I'm gonna say this right now. I am extremely excited because I think Zeke ran all over the New York Giants defense,
I think so too.
and that's what I need this week more than anything.
I think Kellen was rethinking Deshaun Jackson, by halftime. So 30 points here, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 receptions. I don't think that's going to happen again.
You don't think so?
Fitzpatrick was possessed by Brett Favre's soul, dude. I don't know.
Fitzpatrick though, I've always said he is the best backup quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like
he's not a number 2, he's a 1.5.
Yeah, like that guy.
And then some days he plays like a 4.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think sometimes he just wakes up and is like, I don't care. And
he's like, fuck it.
He has a degree from Harvard. He doesn't have to play in the NFL. I think that probably works into his work ethic. So, I think but some weeks, like when things are clicking and that O-line protects him, he can put up 500 yards and 4 touchdowns and whatever.
Unfortunately for Mr. O, who I believe started the Saints defense, which, quick story, we're sitting down watching the game, me, Mr. O, Eddie, and Belex, and Fitzpatrick is just going off on the Saints.
Wow.
And Mr. O, after that first Deshaun Jackson TD, Mr. O chokes on a peanut. So we gave him the Heimlich, and he's good to go. He's still alive, but that's the magic of Fitzpatrick.
Speaking of those early morning games, so I was coming back from Utah, and I was like, you know what? When I land, I'll check my fantasy stuff. But before we took off, I think the score was like 4-3. And I'm just laying back. I'm trying to close my eyes in my chair, and I just couldn't fall asleep because I was thinking about fantasy. So I looked through the manual and was like, oh, okay. So I bought the $20 Wi-Fi on the plane just so I could. And I started watching the Minnesota-San Francisco game. So fantasy football is very important. This is probably where my emotional, strain is for the next 3, If I have a really bad fantasy football weekend, it's going to affect me for the rest of the week.
Definitely.
And if you get a bad injury, it affects you for the whole 3
season.
months.
Yeah.
So, let's move on to the next matchup.
So, Mr. O and Daniel. Daniel had the best weekend.
So, do you think Daniel has the best team?
No.
Because I believe he scored the most, though, right?
He scored the most, but I don't think he has the best team.
So, let's look at his roster.
So he had Andrew Luck, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, Allen Robinson, AJ Green, Adam Thielen, Jordan Reed, Deion Lewis, Tennessee.
Allen Robinson looks pretty good for the Bears right now. I just don't know if he's going to get any red zone opportunities. But I think Allen Robinson looks really good. And then
I don't think Joe Mixon
can keep it. And he plays the Baltimore this week.
Yeah, I don't think Joe Mixon is going to put up 20 points a game. Alvin Kamara obviously can and probably will put 20 points a game. Andrew Luck, he looked all right.
What about AJ Green?
It's nice to see Andrew Luck out there, though.
Yeah, it does. It makes you feel good, right? But I could tell the O-line's really weak, so he's just checking it down a lot.
Yeah.
That's why I picked up Ryan Grant. So
Adam Thielen is probably going to have, good games. Jordan Reed. Do you think Jordan Reed?
His health, I would never. He was on the board, I believe, when I picked Jimmy Graham, and I knew Jordan Reed is the better tight end, but I decided to not, because I've been burned by Jordan Reed I think twice in the past, where like you have him and he sits on your bench, and even when he does play, you choose not to play him because he's questionable,
Yeah.
and you're just not sure. So Jordan Reed, I think if you have him and he is not healthy, he plays maybe 3 or 4 games for you. Even if you play 6 or 7 games a year, he's really only playing 3 or 4 games for you.
Yeah. When it comes to Daniel's team, he's one injury away from falling. He doesn't really have a lot of bench depth. He still has Des Bryant on his bench. We'll see how long he keeps that.
Yeah.
And Charles Clay. I am not taking any Buffalo players at this point.
No, I'm not. I would maybe consider a Buffalo player once Josh Allen takes over. But even then, I'm not quite sure on how the Buffalo offense works.
It doesn't work. So
yeah. So, but the thing is, they also were playing a really good defense in Baltimore. So the give them some slack, I guess. If they have a favorable matchup, maybe you play Charles Clay. Charles Clay isn't a bad backup to Jordan Reed, I guess. But I think you could probably look at the waiver wire right now and pick up someone better.
Definitely. Greg Olsen is going to be out, so I mean, you can pick up his replacement.
Speaking of tight end injury, so is Delanie Walker, and I heard Smith, I think, is the backup tight end for the Titans. That he's going to get the start, and he's actually not as bad, and they say he's a lot like Delanie Walker.
Now, is it Delanie or Delaney?
It was Delanie.
Let's hear it, Garage League. Let us know. Is it Delanie or is it Delaney?
I thought it was Delanie. I could be Delaney.
I think it's Delaney Walker, but this just shows that Brian does not watch SportsCenter, so that's what he does on his free time.
I'm just pronouncing it right, even if he pronounces it.
It's Matthew Berry who pronounces it wrong. Right. Let's see here. We got Breeze in the Trap, Mr. Auto Draft himself, against 3-for-1 special.
So the 3-for-1 special. So moving forward,
so real quick,
he picked up Lindsey this week, who outperformed Royce Freeman. So I was trying to get the handcuff, but so before the season started, I had the number 2 waiver wire pick, and then all of a sudden I checked this.
Now, did it reset when the schedule reset?
I'm not sure when it reset.
So it probably reset when the schedule reset.
I remember looking at it, though, and I had the number 2 waiver wire, and then I just never looked at it again because I didn't need to pick up anybody.
Another controversy here.
Yeah, and then I check again, and then I was at number 11. So I was like, cool, I'm going to pick, unless Caesar picks up Lindsey, I have Lindsey, and then I have Royce Freeman's handcuff / possibly could become the better back. Who knows how that situation.
Lindsey's not going to be the better back. I think Lindsey was just game flow.
Do you think it's like the kind of Cohen deal in Chicago? Where, like, I would say Cohen had, I think last year, had like that really good week 1, and then...
I think they were just, it was such a tight game, and he was in there, primarily for passing.
Well, I was talking to Blex today because we were discussing a possible trade or whatever, but nothing fell through. So, but Freeman did technically have more volume. He's still the number 1 and 2 down back for sure.
I think with them right now at this point, it is a committee.
It is, but I think Devontae Booker.
No, it's Devontae Booker. Come on, you could do it. You could do it. Royce Freeman.
Devontae Booker?
No, Royce Freeman and Lindsey.
Yeah, but I'm going to say Devontae Booker. I think
yeah. No, Devontae Booker's not even in the picture.
Yeah, I think he's going to be... So I basically cut him today. But because I thought he was going to be the number 2 back at least.
Yeah, he hasn't impressed the last couple of seasons.
So this is... So going back, Mike V has Lindsey now. I hope Lindsey shits the bed for the rest of the season and gives Royce Freeman the spot he needs.
So talk about a slap in the face, but I know on last week's podcast we discussed Jay Ajayi not really being the primary back or just not being good in general.
Mm-hmm.
And he slapped us in the face Thursday night.
But the team still lost.
Putting up 21 points.
Mike V's team still lost, right?
Right. But
so you could say that that's a good pick. Plus, the wide receivers he has, because he has Hopkins and who else?
Yeah, Hopkins put up 11 points. Oh, Keenan Allen put up 21, which was good.
So you would think that like Ajay getting 20 points in week 1 is a good pickup, but where else is he missing if his team couldn't pull through?
Well,
Or did he end up playing one of those teams that got 150,000 points?
seriously, auto draft or Breeze in the trap. He had Drew Brees, 33 points. Adrian Peterson, who decided to turn back the clock.
Do you think that lasts all season though?
No, definitely not. He's gonna hit his kid next week and then be suspended again. So, he had 22 points. Antonio Brown put up his normal 20. Jarvis Landry had 15. You know what though? He has, and he should really change his name to Handcuff, because that's all he has on his team is every RB1's handcuff. He's got T.J. Yeldon, Spencer Ware, Sonny Mitchell.
Is that where he starts,
Connor,
he starts throwing out 3-for-1 specials?
James Conner, yeah, he's James Conner, Adrian Peterson, which is now, I guess, technically the first starting running back. So, I don't think Connor puts up 32 points a game, realistically.
Well, when Connor does come back, so this is an interesting thing now. Connor's proven that he's a good running back. When Le'Veon Bell does come back, do you feel it's going to be more of a committee, or do you think Le'Veon Bell's going to get 1, 2, and 3rd down touches? Because Connor, I think, has earned the right to consider himself at least in a committee spot. I would say in the Steelers' offense. Do you agree?
I totally agree.
So, does Connor doing well, even if Le'Veon Bell comes back, does that bring down Le'Veon Bell's value? Or do you feel Le'Veon Bell, when he comes back, that brings down Connor's value?
I think it brings down Le'Veon Bell's value. I mean, with all this controversy, I think the line right now, their offensive line, is really behind Connor. So there's going to be that tension, if and when Bell comes back. So I think either somebody should be buying Bell and Eddie should be selling Bell, or maybe Steven needs to be selling high on Connor right now.
Yeah, I would sell right now based on his week 1 performance, and if you're still sketchy about starting him yourself, I would consider selling high on Connor and getting somebody in return on someone who absolutely needs a running back who's willing to take a chance on Connor, or if Eddie wants to handcuff in Connor, that's a good place to make work.
The question is, how long can auto draft keep winning with backup running backs? And at this point, I don't even think we can consider James Conner a backup running back. I think he's locked in there as a starter. And
well, how long is LaShawn McCoy going to play?
Well, LaShawn McCoy is not being charged.
Yeah, but
outside.
But that doesn't mean the NFL is not going to do something.
I don't think the NFL does something this season.
This season? I think. When's the Bills' bye week? I don't know. I don't want to look into it. Because
the Bills' bye week.
Zeke in July was considered innocent, and then they suspended him about a month to a month and a half later. So LaShawn McCoy could still get suspended for the second half of the season.
I mean, but does LaShawn McCoy really make a difference at this point?
No,
I don't think so.
But
maybe against teams that
on this roster, LaShawn McCoy is his best running back.
On paper.
So, I don't think Adrian Peterson, I think, might have a good game next week because they play the Colts.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of matchups with his backup running backs. So, we'll see how that plays out. Last match here, probably my favorite match. It's always fun to watch Blacks Sundays.
Well, that game was going into Monday night, right?
That game went into Monday night, so.
Where I think most games, because I would say on average half the league will most likely have one player at least
Right.
in a Monday night matchup or so, or at least a Sunday night matchup. So I feel like most games should always go into the Sunday night or Monday night matchup based on the players and the skills they have. So the fact that a lot of our games were decided, I feel like after the 10 o'clock games in the morning, for sure after the 1 o'clock games, the league was not that competitive this week.
Looking at the score here, it was a really close game. I think that Randall Cobb 70-yard touchdown pass is what really put Caesar over.
Mm-hmm.
And then Leonard Fournette getting hurt.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette left in the second quarter, the beginning of the second quarter. So that's B-Lex's number one running back. So I think if Fournette would have stayed in, and Cobb wouldn't have gone 70 yards for that touchdown, I think
Julio Jones had a good week.
Yeah, I think Blex would have pulled through.
And he was considered to have the worst draft, but he had one of the better. I think he had a really good performance this week. He just fell short at the end.
He would have beat me, so he would have beat like 4 people. So
yeah,
kudos to him.
So the people who got blown out, what adjustments do you feel like everyone needs to make?
Well, I'll start off with myself. I put up pretty much 2 goose eggs in Goodwin and the Chargers defense.
Do you think Goodwin's coming back this week?
I think they sit him for a game.
And even if he does come back, do you play him?
I don't play him. I think I am gonna go a different direction. So, and I need defense to put up points.
Yeah.
I can't have negative 2 points.
I remember I had this problem last year, and if you guys are listening to the podcast, hear me out. My biggest pet peeve about defense is that we start with 10 points, and most likely you lose points. Right? And then, but to me, a good defense in the NFL, a good defense gives up 14 points because I think what was the best point difference from a defense last year is probably in the 12 to 15 range, right?
Right.
So that's a good defensive matchup, but you already lose like 3 to 5 points if your team gives up that many points.
I'm gonna agree and disagree. I agree that a good defense is gonna give up 14 points, but in a fantasy perspective, I think the way the scoring is fine the way it is.
Okay. I don't think if your
because your defense is gonna be getting points from sacks, interceptions, fumbles.
It could.
Well, when they happen, it's going to.
Yeah, but like
it's not guaranteed.
I get sacks.
I think that's what the best part is. Is it obviously it's not guaranteed, but they just happen. And
I think also an annoying thing to me I always felt about defense is if your defense makes like a goal line stop, and then they give up a field goal, and then they lose points because they gave up 3 points when they made a really good defensive play technically.
Right. Well, this is fantasy,
so I always just felt like, in a weird way, like
can't have everything you want.
If your defense gives up touchdowns, I think they could lose points. But I never liked the idea that giving up a field goal, you lose points.
Well, we can agree to disagree.
Yeah. So going to that though, yeah, I think we're at that point in the season. We're trying to figure out who's a good defense and what's not a good defense. I think the Vikings played well last week, so I'm going to keep them around. The Rams played well.
It's what we have to realize is it's week 1, and a lot of these star players didn't really play too much in the preseason.
And there's not a lot of tackling going on in training camp anymore. So the fact that like some of these players are tackling for the first time in almost a year. So
definitely
the defenses will get better. I think that Jets defense looked really good against Detroit. I'm handcuffing them on my bench right now, but we'll see. Maybe if I need to pick up a player, I'll most likely drop him or something like that. So just in case the Jets defense is as good as they looked against Detroit, and they could play that well against maybe the AFC East teams, maybe not New England, but I think the Jets defense is actually pretty solid all the way through. They picked up Tremaine Johnson, the cornerback. They have a good D-line. They made this team through the draft. They've been rebuilding for years. I think it's a solid defense. I wouldn't start them over the Vikings, and the Bears defense looked pretty good against Green Bay in the first half. So we'll see how they play this week. Saints defense though, super disappointing against the Bucks because I went into the season. I didn't pick the Saints, but I went into the season really believing that the Saints were going to have a good defense because they had a pretty good defense last season. They had that shutdown corner, Lattimore, who was a rookie last season, so I figured he'd only get better.
Right.
And if he was shadowing the better receivers in the league, like Mike Evans, I assumed that the Saints were going to do a lot better, but they didn't. So, trying to think if there's another. The Browns defense, I think, is going to be pretty good. That Browns, they picked up a first rounder. I think it's Ward. Ward got like 2 picks in that game, and this is his very first game. So
yeah, on the Browns.
Yeah, so I'm
He
expecting.
looked good.
Miles Garrett looked really good.
The Browns' defense in general looked good.
So I wouldn't mind picking a flyer on the Browns defense either. Especially, you're at the season where you're kind of, at the early part too, you're kind of just picking people and seeing how they work. Like I picked up 3 or 4 players today, just to see if anyone kind of stands out. If not, I'll drop them in a week or 2. But yeah, like to me, I'm a little nervous with Royce Freeman on my team. If I played any of the guys who won this week, I would have lost, and I feel like I put on a quality performance. But yeah, this is week 2 now. I wouldn't say we should all panic. But I play Max, who put up a lot of points. I'm hoping he doesn't do the same this week. I hope all his players fall down to a pedestrian level. Steven, who do you play this week?
This week I am playing. Is it 3-for-1 special?
I think you are, right?
I think I'm playing the 3-for-1 special.
Which the matchup should be a little closer this week than either one of you guys had last week.
Let me shoot a tip to every team real quick. Just based on, week 1 performances here. For myself, obviously, I need to find receivers. I need a receiver who's going to put up, that 12 to 15 points a week. And obviously, you're not going to win when your defense puts up -2 points. So I think my weakness right now really is the receiver aspect. Tight end, I think Kittle's going to do fine. My running backs are going to pick it up. I think Alex Collins was a lot because they were blowing out the Bills.
Well, that's the thing, too.
And he fumbled.
Michael Crabtree, I have, and he only got 3 receptions. He got 11 points, but they stopped playing in the first half. So I think if you get a full game out of these guys on the Ravens, you're most likely to get more points.
Ravens' offense looks pretty good.
Yeah.
As far as the commish goes, he's going to need running back help. I don't think his receivers are going to be putting up these 25, 40-point games every week. It's the law of average is going to go back down. You're going to see more 15 to 20-point games. So I think he really needs to look into improving his running back corp there. And he's really got to decide if he wants to keep Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah. Especially after that. If Connor comes out and has another great game, Le'Veon Bell's value just drops. And who knows? There's been rumors. I heard the Steelers won't do it, but you have to at least be considering it. Do the Steelers trade Le'Veon Bell if Connor could just fill in for him? Like, if Connor comes out there and has another almost 200-yard rushing game or whatever, scores, and he's able to allow Ben Roethlisberger to do the play action and throw it to Antonio Brown and all that, and Juju Smith, do you really need Le'Veon Bell? Do you need that headache in the locker room? Trade him to another team.
Hey, you know what? I say pay the man, but...
I would pay the man too, but if Connor proves that you don't need to, why not?
Well, then Connor builds up and then they find another man. So.
Okay, every time we say Connor too, I think of Connor the Crusher. Which is an inside joke for something else.
It is, yeah. It's Connor the Quitter. God! No, okay. I shouldn't have said that. Okay, so, anyways... Belex, your team's looking good. I think a healthy Fournette is going to definitely help you.
Yeah, with Lex's team, you just need to have patience.
I think
a lot of people are going to start talking to you about trades. I'm one of them. But I wouldn't. It's not a bad idea to just stay put. I think Cooper Kupp is a solid wide receiver for you. Julio Jones is a number 1 wide receiver, especially in this PPR format. And it seems like Matt Ryan last week, all he wanted to do was throw it to Julio Jones, like, in the red zone. Like, come on, guy.
Yes, Blex, patience. Patience, you know.
You might not have had a good draft, but you might have a good enough team to make a run. It's up to you by week 8 or 9. Do you feel like it's a number 1, number 2 kind of team? Because then you might have to make some deals. Like Steven did last year. Steven had a quality team last season, but he made a decision around week 8 or 9 that he had to be a number 1 team. And it got him into the championship, and he just lost to Mike O and Steven O. So,
Yeah, that duo there. Caesar's team. Caesar's team. Same thing. I think patience. I think Alfred Morris comes around. You have Todd Gurley, Tom Brady. They're gonna be putting up points. I don't think Demarius Thomas is gonna be putting up big games for you. T.Y. Hilton, he's gonna have a big game or two. Andrew Luck didn't look too bad, so Caesar, stay the course.
the only concern I would have, and I would still maybe keep a handcuff QB, not the Colts handcuff, but just have a handcuff, is that O-line on the Colts looks terrible. And I would be concerned if Andrew Luck got hit really hard at some point and he's out for at least a week or two. But right now, Andrew Luck's just going to do those check downs to Ryan Grant and Hines, and maybe Marlon Mack comes back. So I don't know. I do like Andrew Luck too.
Yeah, when it comes to Ivan's team, I don't think Kareem Hunt's going to be putting up 4 points only.
Yeah,
week.
I got lucky, especially in that high-powered Chiefs. But the thing is, it's one thing to do that week 1. I feel like more teams are now going to be watching tape, seeing how they could at least. They might not stop the Kansas City offense because Andy Reid is good at what he does, but I think they could maybe contain it. And maybe they'll just say, you know what, we'll let Mahomes go off and we'll contain Hunt. Or maybe we'll let...
Hope that Mahomes makes a mistake.
Yeah. So, we'll see. Kareem Hunt's still a solid running back, but... And same thing with Delvin Cook. Delvin Cook fumbled in the Vikings 49ers game, and then the Vikings just had no BS after that. They started putting Murray in on important downs. They put Cook in every once in a while. So if Cook makes mistakes like that, I can see him that becoming more of a committee. But Cook is still the number 1 back there.
Yeah, Doug Baldwin, I think, he was a poor choice knowing that he was hurt.
He's also a Seahawk, and fuck him.
Diggs is going to get his points. Fitzgerald, I think, is in a horrible offense. I don't see him excelling every week.
He got like 8 points though, right?
11 points.
11 points. I remember I was watching that closely too, because that was a 1 o'clock game. So him and Mahomes together made up that 40-point lead I had.
Yeah.
And Fitzgerald, because he's tall, he's gonna get a lot of possession. Is he playing the slot right now because of his age? I didn't watch the game. So.
I didn't see too much of that game. It was kind of boring. I think he is playing in the slot. But he just has it's just a horrible offense in general.
So I expect Fitzgerald to give you average points, but I wouldn't count on him to give you the...
On paper, your receivers look solid. I think after week 1, they downgraded a little bit. Mm-hmm. Josh Gordon, though, man, he looked good.
He did look good, and he didn't catch the ball until like 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, he looked good.
And
he would have had 2 touchdowns if Tyrod didn't underthrow that ball.
So Josh Gordon is becoming a solid number 1.
I think Josh Gordon by the end of week 5 is going to be your big point maker there. Mm-hmm. Brian, what do you think you need to improve on?
Just the fact Graham. I hope Aaron Rodgers looks to him a little bit more.
I hope Aaron Rodgers plays.
If Graham doesn't, or if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play on Sunday, I'm thinking I'm not gonna sit Graham, and I'm gonna play Jenkins. Safarian Jenkins. I don't know. I feel good that I won last week, but I don't feel confident knowing that I still was I was still beneath a lot of the teams that won by like 60 points. Like if I had a different matchup last week, I would have lost by like 40 points, and I still feel like I played well. Royce Freeman to me, just because of Lindsey's performance, I don't know if they're going to move to more of a committee thing there, but we'll see. That's something I want to keep my eye on. maybe I'm going to throw this out there now. If it's looking like a committee going forward,
You down to trade?
he is on the block. Doesn't mean I will or will not trade him, but because Royce Freeman is technically my flex, and a 7-point game is not a terrible game for a flex necessarily. So, and Lamar Miller also gave me about 12 points, so I'll take that. I don't know. I think the tight end position. I think I need a second wide receiver. John Ross got 1 reception, but it was for a touchdown, so that did help me a lot. And I'm going to probably see if I get that second wideout from somebody, or maybe one of my bench players will step up. But yeah, I feel good right now. I think Cousins played great. I think when he's in closer games, he's going to score even more points. But yeah, I think, who do you have next? Who do you want to look at? Is that everybody?
Stephen O. No, Stephen O. I don't know how long your backups are going to work for you. But you know what? The formula works now. Keep it up. 3-for-1 special. Besides your wide receivers, I think you need to improve in all other areas.
What else?
Max's team looks good.
Yeah, Max's choo-choo, man.
Choo-choo, yeah. Max's team looks good. Just keep it up. Kellen, I think Kellen's going to have the hardest time climbing up the ladder here.
You think so?
Yeah, he's got to improve on every spot. The only thing that's for sure is Odell.
I feel like Kellen's at least smart enough, though, to somewhat figure it out. Like, he might not... It might be difficult for him to pull a top 5 spot in the playoffs, but he's smart enough to figure it out to get to that bottom half of the playoff spot, and then hopefully in the playoffs he'll figure it out.
Definitely.
Because he's always had at least an average team, right?
Yeah.
So, and he works trades out, he signs people well. It's just he's had some bad luck so far.
Mr. O, Mike. Mike's team looks good.
So Mike O is an interesting one to me too, because
You know what, though?
I've been in this league for 2 years, and he was number one. He was the first place team in 1 year.
The year that you took the ship, he went into the playoffs number 1.
And he got
No, he got up to week 8 undefeated, and then from week 9 until the first round of the playoffs, he lost every game.
Oh really?
Yes.
So yeah, because maybe he fell to second place by the time he made the playoffs, or was it?
No, he was still in first.
Oh, okay.
He was still in first.
So he was in first, but then last season, Johnson got hurt, and he just. But the thing is,
he just tanked. He tanked. He gave
and
up.
I was thinking about it. Like, a lot of players had injuries. Like, I ended up losing Zeke at one point. So like,
I lost Aaron Rodgers.
Everybody gets injuries, and you still got to work to make them better.
You gotta keep moving forward, Mike.
So I'm intrigued on how good.
I think Mike just had a bad week. I mean,
Mike. I'm not saying Mike's team is bad.
No, Mike's team is not bad.
I'm intrigued on if Mike will try to make them better.
Or will he stay content?
Yeah.
I mean, Amari Cooper didn't do what you thought he was gonna do, which is not a surprise. So.
You think Cooper is? Yeah. You don't think Cooper's gonna do well?
I don't think Cooper ends the season top 8 in wide receivers.
I wouldn't say so either, but I think he'll be a top 20.
I think he'll be a top 12, but not a top 8. So he's gonna land somewhere between the 9 and 12.
Okay.
Daniel's team looks good as long as Kamara stays healthy.
Yeah.
I think he's fine.
I
don't think Deion Lewis is gonna put up 20 points a week.
No.
I said that earlier. I'll say it again. But his team looks solid.
Yeah, I agree.
So after week one, who is number 1 and who is number 12?
Okay, number 1 is Daniel. He put up the most points, and he looks like he could continue doing so. Number 12? Man. Well, let me. You have 17 right there, right? I mean, not 17, but last week, right?
Yeah, those are all the scores there.
That's crazy, because I feel like me and Ivan had a really good matchup, but he scored the second least amount of points.
Who scores the
Kellen.
Kellen.
Yeah, Kellen had the least amount. So yeah, it might have to be Kellen because Devontae Freeman's hurt. Drake kind of choked. And Matt Stafford, and apparently, based on Detroit's filming, the Jets said they were just too predictable, and that's why they got so many picks off of him. So if other defenses that are probably better play the Detroit Tigers,
Again with the Tigers.
the Lions, yeah, I think, I don't know, yeah, I would say right now 12 is Kellen's in. What about you?
I'm going to agree with you this week. I think Daniel does have the strongest team right now at the moment, and I think Kellen has the weakest team.
But I am on the Max train. Choo-choo. I think Max is number 2 actually right now.
You know what? I'm just very excited that Max is actually taking the time to play this season.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun when you actually try.
Yeah.
And I hope Mr. O doesn't quit. I hope he stays the course. By the way, today is Mr. O's birthday, so I want to give him a shout out. Happy birthday, Mr. O. I think he's the big 2'8" today. So keep on trucking, Mr. O.
The big 4'5".
With a hairline like that, maybe not. I'm just kidding, Mr. O. I'm kidding. I love you. Real quick, let's just get the matchups of the week here.
Yeah.
And let the people go home. So this week I'm playing 3 for 1, and I know Eddie predicted that 3 for 1 would win, but I think my team bounces back. I think Christian McCaffrey has a bigger game.
Who did the Carolina Panthers play?
They play Atlanta.
Yeah, he could.
Norv Turner. Just saying. I'm definitely going to need a big game from my receivers, but I think this week the Chargers bounce back against Buffalo.
If they decide not to play Aaron Rodgers,
I'm not going to tell you who I'm going to put in there, but I already have a backup. So.
And you think he'll be good enough to carry the team?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, right now, just because I'm a little bitter about the Lindsey thing, I'm gonna go. I hope maybe he'll put Lindsey in. Maybe he'll just keep him on the bench. But if he does put Lindsey in at the flex or something, I hope Lindsey just totally craps the bed. And yeah, I think Steven's team right now. I played fantasy football with Steven for now. This is our 3rd year, and I expect more from you. So I expect you to win. So, move on to the next matchup.
We got Ivan against Belex.
This one's gonna be tight. I think this one. Do they either one of them have a Monday night game?
No. They don't.
Okay, so.
Oh yeah, I'm just kidding. Chicago plays Monday night against Seattle, so Trey Burton.
So, this could go into Monday night.
I don't think it goes into Monday night.
I could see Ivan maybe being down by 9 or so points, and then it's up to Trey Burton to have a big game, and maybe he won't. But I could see it going into the point where we're gonna have to see how Trey Burton does Monday.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Who wins?
This week? I'm gonna say Blex.
I'm gonna say Blex too. Yeah, I don't think that.
But the thing is, like, we're also picking against Kareem Hunt and Dalvin Cook not to come back in week 2.
Kareem Hunt in Pittsburgh, that's a no for me, dog.
What about
Dalvin Cook and Green Bay?
He'll do well.
We'll see.
But I expect Julio Jones to do well.
I think Julio Jones and Cam Newton carry this team this week. What about Caesar against Auto Draft? Stephen O.
Caesar, I think he has the more solid squad, I guess. LaShawn McCoy makes me nervous. That's why I'm kind of picking against him. I don't know. Like that's kind of too tight of a matchup for me.
I'm gonna say Caesar as well. Todd Gurley against a weak Arizona defense. Tom Brady's obviously gonna have a good matchup against Jacksonville. Alfred Morris against Detroit. I mean, we saw what Isaiah Crowell did to them.
I think T.Y. Hilton's gonna do a lot better with Andrew left back.
Yeah, definitely. I'm taking Caesar on that one. I don't think the backup running backs hold up.
No.
How about you against Max? Choo.
If I had to pick, if I had to put money on somebody, I'd go Max.
Hey, you heard it. He's going up against Max. He's taking Max.
I'm going to do everything in my power right now to create better matchups. I'm going to keep my eye on the waiver wire, but most likely the lineup I have right now is the one I'm going to go with. I'm hoping that Zeke Elliott pulls off one of his crazy 25 to 30 point games and just keeps me kind of.
Well, in PPR, that'd probably be like 40 points. So.
Yeah, maybe. Like it would probably keep me on par with his crazy wide receiver lineup he has. And then I'm hoping that like Jordan Howard, Freeman, and Lamar Miller carry the slack a little bit. Because I think I have favorable matchups in all my games because Zeke plays the Giants, Howard plays Seattle, Freeman plays Oakland, Lamar Miller plays Tennessee, Grant against Washington, Crabtree against Cincinnati, and Cousins against Green Bay. I feel like those are all favorable matchups for my players. But he also has, and then he has Mike Evans against Philadelphia, who I'm hoping could shut him down slightly.
They shut him down.
Kansas City versus Juju Smith. I'm hoping that maybe just Juju Smith just doesn't see the ball because Antonio Brown's doing so well. That's the only thing you can hope with the Juju Smith thing.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Michael Thomas against Cleveland. I'm on the Cleveland train when it comes to defense. So I'm hoping right now Max's team's better. If I had to put money on somebody, I'm going to go Max. But I'm actually hoping that the matchups are in my favor.
We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
What do you think about Kellen against Mr. O?
So this is basically, at this point, like 10th place versus 12th place. Mr. O.
Mr.
Barkley
O.
looks good.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go Mr. O too. Mr. O just has a, like I said, his team's not bad. I think Kellen still needs to kind of move some pieces and get some pieces on his roster, and then he'll be a contender.
Who knows? Stafford could come back and just kill it. That was probably his worst performance he's ever had.
And then how about the commish against Daniel?
So these are two teams that I think had very high-powered first weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So this one's going to probably just be just as tight as the Blex matchup. I think it's Blex versus Ivan, right?
Correct.
I think that's going to be tight, low-scoring tight, and this is going to be high-scoring tight. And I feel this one will probably go down to Monday night when Russell Wilson plays. But
I'm going to take Daniel, and here's why. Because Daniel has running backs.
He does, and he has two solid ones with Deion Lewis, who puts up a lot of points. And the thing is, for the commish being a huge wide receiver guy, I know Tyreek Hill's good, but he's also going against Pittsburgh this week. I don't look at Lockett and Sanders as people that would scare me every week. Those are players that are good. Those are players that will put some points up every once in a while. Sanders is the kind of guy who's going to put up 25 points and then put up 3 the next week kind of thing. So I'm not too scared with the commissioner's wide receiver core right now for someone who is really into wide receivers. But Daniel has A.J. Green, Allen Robinson, and unless there's a huge injury, Daniel could run away with the season undefeated. It's possible. His team's just that strong.
Here's a question for you.
His bench is kind of weak, so maybe with the bye weeks he'll slip up.
Do you think Daniel remembers who you are?
No.
Oh, all right. Well,
on that note,
there you have it. Let us know if you guys want to hear something on the podcast. If you guys want a special guest on the podcast.
Oh yeah, and you guys can send questions in. Like, I don't know, we have a group chat. Just send a question in, or something you want us to go over. Or if you want to be on it, send us your number. We can call you.
Right before we leave here, one more thing, and another reason why I'm on the Max train, choo-choo, is Max is sending out some pretty good memes this year.
He is, right?
He is participating.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's... can you imagine if he would have participated the last 2 seasons? He might have a championship under his name.
He is secretly becoming one of the funnier guys and better guys in the league.
Yes.
And it's like maybe he was like, I didn't care in the past, but we've been talking so much shit in the off season that he's just like, no, I'm ready this season. So
and he is ready. So
yeah.
Again, you guys got questions, you want to hear something.
We don't have answers.
Probably not, but you know where to find us.
Yeah, and if you guys, like I said, if you guys want us to go deeper into something, because we're kind of half-ass go over every team, but if there's something deeper, or if you want any advice, we're not exactly Matthew Berry, but we could give you our own opinion. So yeah, that's the Garage League podcast.
I'm Stephen Galindo.
I'm Brian Andrew.
We'll see you next week.